Hey, what's going on, guys? I'm Dr. Boyce Watkins from Your Black World and Black Business School. I am not trying to say that I think Dave Ramsey's wrong, but I will say on this particular area, Dave Ramsey's wrong. Dave Ramsey is a brilliant guy. He's a cool guy. He is very smart about finances and investing and everything else. He doesn't have a PhD. I have a PhD, but at the same time, I'm not Dave Ramsey, but I do have a PhD. And so let me just say this real quick. I'm going to challenge one thing that I heard Dave say, and I do think he's wrong on this. I've heard Dave talk about debt in a way that that seems to imply that it's a little bit of a simplistic way to kind of look at it. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe there's stuff out there that contradicts this, but I've gotten the impression that Dave speaks about debt as if debt is pretty much something you always want to eliminate, something that you always want out of your life, no matter what. And that's the only way to financial freedom, or the primary way, is to get there debt free. I don't agree with that. I think I see where Dave is coming from, in the sense that debt, being as powerful as it is, like any other powerful thing, like a gun is very powerful, and a gun can, you shouldn't have a gun if you can't use it. Fire is very powerful. You shouldn't use fire if you're going to burn your whole house down. Drugs are very powerful. You shouldn't use drugs unless you know the right dosage to take and the right drugs to take. So people who are irresponsible with debt, like drugs, like fire, like a gun, can end up in a very bad situation. And a lot of Americans are in terribly bad situations because of their misuse of debt. But what I am going to say, though, is that debt itself, like fire, like drugs, like a gun, is not always a bad thing. It's not always going to hurt you to have access to debt. Debt can actually open doors for possibilities that you couldn't have achieved before. Debt can open the door to income acceleration, perhaps through business ownership or asset accumulation, maybe the purchase of real estate or whatever the case may be. Debt can open the door for you to get additional education, as long as you keep the cost at a minimum, or you don't want to go into deep student loan debt, where good debt becomes bad debt because it's so toxic, because there's so much debt that you have that you can't get out of it, right? So it's almost like somebody says, well, I'm really thirsty, give me a drink of water, and they just literally give you 800 gallons of water. Well, you don't want 800 gallons of water. You just want enough to quench your thirst, right? So water itself is not the culprit. The culprit is the overusage of water, right? So debt itself is not the culprit when it comes to, for example, the student loan debt crisis. It is the overuse of student loan debt. It is the high cost of college education. It's all these other factors, but the idea of borrowing money to go to school, well, people have been doing that for a long time, and there are a lot of people where it worked out great for them. They borrowed 10 grand, they went and they got a job making an extra 30, 40 grand a year. They paid the 10 grand off and lived happily ever after. That's okay, right? So my point is to say, at the end of the day, with Dave Ramsey, and no disrespect to him, because I think he's great. I think what he does is really good. Is don't go around thinking debt is always bad. Debt, whether debt is good or bad for you in your life, comes down to one. Are you making money from the debt? Is the debt helping you to run your business? Is the debt helping you to go buy real estate? Sometimes getting a little bit of debt can help you quit your job a little sooner, so you can allocate the rest of your time toward building up your dream. I think debt's okay in those situations. Also, interest rates. That's another thing. How much interest are you paying on the debt? Credit card debt's very different from, say, student loan debt. Student loan debt, the biggest problem is the amount of debt, but the interest rates actually happen to be quite low. So when people consult with me and they say, well, should I get rid of my student loan debt before I start investing or before I start my business? I say, well, how much interest are you paying? They'll say 4%. I'll say, no. I mean, why would you go pay off 4% debt so you can go borrow at 9% or 8% or whatever, or if you can borrow at all? Because they'll give you student loan debt, but they won't give you a business loan, but they'll give you a student loan all day long. So I've actually told people, maybe you should just let the student loan debt sit there, since it's only 4%, and then go out here and start a business and run your business well, and you earn 20-30% ROI on your business. Then you're able to make far more than what you're paying out, right? So ultimately, it's about understanding the game in different levels and in different ways. And I think that there are subtleties there that are all sometimes missed when we kind of have very gimmicky, very simplistic, one-dimensional models of financial literacy. Not that Dave Ramsey's in this category, though, because I think that his models, pretty sophisticated in a lot of ways, but it's sort of built in a way where it's it's built for those who aren't looking for to understand the sophisticated subtleties. It's kind of built for people that just want to get away from debt altogether and live kind of a very simple conservative lifestyle. I don't think you have to always do that. I think that sometimes taking a couple of risks can actually work for you. They just have to be good risks. So that's my 2 cents. On that issue, I'd love to get your comments on this. Feel free to put questions in there and everything else that you'd like for me to talk about later. I'm Dr. Boyce Watkins. Take care. Please hit the thumbs up button, share button, subscribe button, and all that stuff. And also, if you want a free e-copy of my book, It Takes a Village to Raise the Bar, go to drboycewatkins.net. That's drboycewatkins.net. So I'll see you soon. Take care. Bye-bye. Peace.